used as their style. And so I'm hoping to see some kind of adjustment like that in their game this game, because they haven't banned the Baton. So if CDEC Youth want to take it in the first phase, they will be able to. But obviously that's a commitment early on in the draft. I believe they did only pick it in the second phase last game, right?
I want to say yes. I think they picked what it was. They definitely picked the Dazzle early. The Dazzle Nature's Prophet was their opening, so yeah, they didn't pick the Abaddon until the second go round. I guess the one other thing to talk about a little bit is that this tournament there isn't necessarily as much pressure in this tournament as there is going to be in some of the events that are going to be coming up in a couple of months' time. So if there is any time to be experimenting a little bit with your picks, seeing what works for you, it feels like this is definitely the right kind of environment to be doing it. Not to say that, we're going to see anyone throwing away games or anything like that, but if you want to pick a pudge, if you want to try something a little bit off the wall, then it seems like a decent time to do it. So looking forward to maybe seeing a little bit of that.
So interesting pickup here with the Nature's Prophet being prioritized over the Dazzle, which Dazzle we've seen kind of to be the prioritized hero of the day and of the time. We spoke about in last series, but Nature's Prophet is kind of like, for the new patch, seems like a big hit so far. And I wonder if part of the reason is what I want to say, CDEC themselves, CDEC Classic, don't actually pick a lot of Dazzle, so I think that CDEC Youth may be intelligent to take the Nature's Prophet first, and if they want the Dazzle, very possibly get it as well anyway. CDEC Classic on the other hand start with Spirit Breaker, which I think that the previous game they started with, and I think that both their games yesterday they also started with it. It's just like their go-to opener in every single game.
Yeah, they seem to be very fond of it, and I mean you're up against the Nature's Prophet, so it seems like a pretty reasonable pick. But like you were saying, the draft could unfold here in a very similar way to the way that it did in the first game. CDEC grabs something, might even already be telling themselves, oh, go for the Dark Seer to go along with the Spirit Breaker, and then CDEC Youth pick the Dazzle, then we're right back where we found ourselves in the first game. So we'll see what the adjustment's going to be. Looks like CDEC going to use a bit of their reserve time, but nope. It's going to be the Dark Seer again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they lost the previous game because they started with Spirit Breaker Dark Seer. Like it's a really good opener, I think. And they're very good with both of these heroes. XZ plays one of the better Dark Seers in China, and God, I think, plays the best Spirit Breaker in China. Like, the game didn't kick off the way they wanted it to in the previous game. Well, actually it did, but there was a stage where it turned around as soon as Slot got Blink. And I think God, Spirit Breaker didn't get to dictate the motion of the game the way he wanted to, but Oracle, a hero that we've actually seen banned a few times today, and finally is going to be picked out. So you're asking about the application of the hero in the new patch, and we'll certainly get to see one theory on how to use it from CDEC Youth in this game.
It's definitely very good against the Dark Seer with the spell, both especially the offensive dispel, being able to get rid of Surge, you can get rid of Ion Shell. It's along too nicely with the Dark Seer, I think, to risk it. And it's also very good against the Nature's Prophet. Oracle also not providing that much lockdown for an Ember, so still gonna give respect where it's due to aggressive here.
What I like about the Oracle pick is it's like, we're talking about in the context of they go Dazzle again, and Oracle in a way fulfills a similar role to Dazzle. It's also mostly, I think, a defensive support. Can also keep people alive the way Dazzle's Grave can, but it's slightly different. It's a slightly different hero that well, not slightly, it's very different in terms of how you play against it, how you play around it, and maybe thinking, we do want a hero right now that's a defensive support that's going to keep people alive, but if you pick the Dazzle, it's too scripted. It's too like, they're expecting it, they've got a plan for it, so let's go for a slightly different variant of a similar kind of role, and force CDEC to actually think about what they want to do to deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's also going to be quite helpful. Well, I was about to say that it might be helpful if CDEC do end up looking at something like a gyrocopter, but Dazzle is also quite good against gyrocopters, so pretty similar in that way. And yeah, the gyro seems attractive, but it also feels like it could be a trap a little bit for CDEC game. It just seems too obvious for whatever reason to me. I feel like CDEC Youth might have something scheming if the gyrocopter does just end up being the grab.
10 seconds.
I think I'd like to see aggressive Clinks come out again, yeah. something that he's played once or twice recently. Certainly, like the same way we said Ember Spirit threatens the Nature's Prophet, Klinks can do that. If you decide to go for the Awkward build, it can be really nice against the Oracle too, although I think he prefers the Desolator build. Not clear that it's a pick that you need to take this early in the draft, even if you do want to go for it. But I think it would fit well. I think it would fit well against both of the existing picks and synergize nicely with the Spirit Breaker as well, obviously.
Yeah, I'd really like to see them do something just a little bit different. Something as well that we don't see a whole lot of, but I am always a big proponent of is a silencer, maybe even a core silencer. Seems very good against the Oracle. I mean, as it is, as same way it's good against Dazzle. Just prevent him from being able to cast spells. And it's also pretty solid against the Nature's Prophet. A team fight starts, often the Prophet is expecting that he's going to be able to TP in later on and you know, have his impact in the fight that he needs, but Global Silence comes out and all of a sudden you can't join your team. But I don't know if that's something that CDEC are thinking about here. So they just grabbed the Slardar for themselves, so they get three big beefy heroes, lots of different opportunities to throw Iron Shells around here this game. And CDEC Youth just going to grab the Gyrocopter for themselves. It makes a lot of sense. They were looking for one position and deny it away from CDEC as well.
So this is probably an aggressive Slardar then. It's unlikely, I think, that they'd run a support Slardar and Spirit Breaker together. Which means that we're still waiting to... We're still waiting to see Shiki's hero, although he is the one with the, I think, the smallest hero pool of those in his team. I'm thinking maybe they could go for the TA, just go with the minus armor strategy since they already have the Slardar. Definitely a Shiki pick. They're going to leave it to last. They're going to pick up the AA for now, which will be definitely Q0. But it's a little bit scary for Gyrocopter actually, if you ask me. Like, once the game goes later, having the cooldown, having the Rocket Barrage, the Flak, really good against all these melee Run-at-You heroes. But early on in the game, I feel like multiple Iron Shells, Slardar blinking on you, Spirit Breaker, like, these are things that actually like really scare Gyrocopter, getting up in its face and just like forcing it to brawl in a way that it doesn't want to. Obviously Oracle can protect it, but that's going to depend on how things play out.
Yeah, it does look like there's going to be a lot of pressure. The magic immunity, especially from Oracle, might be actually very important here, just taking the edge off of that Iron Shell damage once the Gyrocopter gets jumped. I would like to see from CDEC Gaming a little bit more to potentially make use of the Ancient Apparition. I feel like maybe a few more nukes just to add on top of the Ice Vortex, potentially. So maybe something like a Lina or a Zeus on their mid lane could be alright. But we'll see what they go for.
I have a question about interactions. Maybe you have an idea about this, but so yeah. Oracle's ulti delays damage and healing till after it ends. If you have Ancient Apparition ulti on you, the Ice Blast, and then Oracle ult, like during the Oracle ulti, but then it runs out. Like at the end of the ulti, do you get all the heal that you? You know, how does it decide? Does it depend on if the Ice Blast is on you right at the end or during?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the healing is delivered. I mean, yeah.
What I do know is that the damage, the physical, all the damage actually that happens at the end. It calculates your magic resistance and your armor at the end when the damage happens, not during. So I don't know if it'll be the same with like something like AA ulti, that it depends just if the AA ulti is on you at the end, or if it would depend on, you know, does it see the healing during
10 seconds remaining.
Oracle's ulti if there's AA ulti on.
Yeah, so there's kind of two questions, and the question is primarily when is the healing factored in? Does it happen all at the end? Yeah. So if you were Ice Blasted during, but not at the end, do you get healed? Or is it that you just don't get the heals to begin with if you were Ice Blasted during? I guess we'll have to keep an eye out for it. Maybe someone can tweet at us or something if they know the exact mechanics. It's not something that I've messed around with all that much, but alright. CDEC gonna round things out here with a Wind Ranger grab, always a nice partner to go along with the Slardar Amplify damage. So they got tons of physical, a little bit more magical with the Power Shot, which is definitely not that bad. It gives them some more lockdown as well to work with, and they got Shackle Shot and the Cold Feet and the Crush, and everything else. So it seems like a pretty solid grab, and CDEC Youth just gonna add a little bit more 5-man to the roster as they go for the Beastmaster. So whose lineup do you favor here, Scan?
Well, I'm just interested in Shiki's Wind Ranger. Is it like, because the talk about Shiki is always like he's got a kind of limited hero pool. He plays a few heroes very often. Wind Ranger, I just checked. This will be his 4th time playing the hero ever in professional Dota. I don't recall having seen it myself. I don't know, like, is this one of his comfort zone heroes? Is it not? Maybe it's something they've been trying out. Usually when CDEC Gaming, usually when they experiment with the new heroes, it's not him. It's usually other players. So I almost want to say, my answer to your question, I know it's been a roundabout way of saying it, but it depends a lot on, does he have a great performance as we've seen him have on the heroes he's comfortable with, or does he have maybe a poorer performance as we've seen him have on the heroes he's uncomfortable with? I mean, I'm not sure what to expect. I don't think that Wind Ranger is a hero that should be outside of his comfort zone in terms of the way the hero plays. And I definitely am a big fan of the aggressive slaughter, which I have seen many times before. I don't know. At the same time, if you look at CDEC Youth's draft, they have a very similar setup to what they had last game. The pieces of this draft could come together at a sort of critical timing and start 5-manning and just choke out CDEC Classic. And I think it's a real possibility yet again, actually. I think that Beastmaster is a very scary hero as he hits those Necro 3s. He's got recent buffs to his summons. Dire Cup to get scary as it hits BKB. There's the Oracle that, no matter if you know the hero or not, you're not going to be used to playing it against it in a competitive setting. And then just all the pushing power from the Witch Doctor and the Nature's Prophet. So for the game to go well for CDEC Youth, it's probably going to look very similar to the last game. And for the game to go well for CDEC Classic, I would say it depends a lot on Shiki's performance.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to look at his pub stats, potentially, for the Wind Ranger, just to see if he's... Yeah. We have had Wind Ranger kind of in the meta for mid for quite some time, so I'm very surprised to see that he's only got the 4 games in a competitive setting, but I guess the jury's out at the moment. We'll just have to see how this game goes and make a decision based on that. I really like seeing the Beastmaster mid. I'm a big fan of this hero in general, and I feel like he's a little bit underrated when it comes to the mid lane, though part of that opinion for me depends a lot on, I think, the fact that this hero can actually get a lot of stacking done from the mid lane by abusing the boars, but I don't know if we'll be seeing that from Inflamed here.
I have a sense that this game and the previous game, the fact that Inflame's picking Beastmaster mid or Abaddon mid himself for trading quite aggressively with Shiki, but the win run's going to come out and I think he pulls back. I have a sense that it is related to the offlane Nature's Prophet who again goes down first blood just like last game.
Alright, not bad.
He didn't seem too phased by it last game. In fact, last game after dying first blood, that he like just went back, got level 2 and then started doing the pulls. I don't know, can the Nature's Prophet Sprout also do the pulls on the Radiant side? It probably can. I don't see why it wouldn't be able to.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I'm not actually 100% sure, but it seems like it would be alright. But no, looks like for the moment he's just going to be sticking with the Witch Doctor here in the offlane. Garter's found himself another little spot in the trees. Might look for another charge before too long. They do get the side pull here, which is going to be a little bit of a nuisance. CDEC Youth's going to have to back themselves up.
But yeah, the point I got halfway into making is that I think that there's an awareness by Inflame that if you pick the offlane Nature's Prophet, it's going to take space off the map. And so if you have like heroes that take a lot of space from mid, safe lane, and offlane, you end up with not enough space and too many heroes wanting it. And that's part of why he picks the Abaddon and the Beastmaster as these mid heroes, which have like direct utility in a different way. You know, they don't need to just sit and farm all game.
Yeah, they're very off-laney mids. Let's say that much.
Yeah.
What do we got going on? Inflame's getting charged here on mid. I think his bottle's getting delivered, so he's going to be able to kill back up. But needs to be a little bit careful, especially if this sip gets cancelled. It does partially, but they got vision of the charge coming in, and the double damage Witch Doctor is going to shepherd Garter away. So looks like nothing else going to happen. Mid Demons looks like he's doing a pretty good job of zoning out Xe on this bottom lane, where he doesn't have all that much to his name, really. It looks like just a couple of those Ion Shells being denied and preventing him from pushing up in the lane that sort of set him back. You know, he's got experience, but he's got no creeps. They've actually shut him down really nicely. 3-0 in this Darkseer is somewhat surprising.
And Shiki is dominating the CSing, by the way. This is, I mean, since we talk about how he's going to do on the hero, Beastmaster, like, sure, Windrange is a lane controlling, lane dominating hero, but Beastmaster conventionally one of those melee heroes that doesn't actually mind that much being against the difficult lanes because you have high base damage, good stats, good armor, you've got the bow, and you usually get those creeps regardless. So I think we can't just write this off to like, oh, you're a Windranger against melee hero. I think that Shiki's actually doing really well to be this far ahead this early on.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of a missed opportunity as well, in that if you do it just right with Beastmaster, you can line it up in the same way that Lone Druid does, to have both of your units attacking at the same time and effectively, you know, combine your base damage together, and that can actually make Beastmaster really difficult to deal with on the mid lane, but Inflame doesn't seem 100% comfortable with that. It is tougher against the Windranger because she's going to be power-shotting your boars down. Shackle comes out, not gonna latch. Charge is still making its way in, and that's an Ion Shell in the Spirit Breaker as well. This is looking like a very dead Inflame. TP threatened by the Nature's Prophet, but he is not going to be completing that one. I think he was just too afraid of the double shell to do anything.
Well, similar start to the previous game all in all, where CDEC Classic starting ahead. They first blood at the safe lane, they make early kill in the mid lane. I see making a rotation into this mid lane, but now actually going to be under pressure himself from the Iron Shell. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, looks like he's going to be a-okay. Do get a Dire Observer ward down here as well. I don't know if that was spotted out. They do have this Radiant Obs up in the hill, but looks like the sentry's going to be removing that, so Q going to be sticking around a little bit longer. Can the board deny it, perhaps? Nope. Garter's actually just going to tango it from the low ground. Gets that bonus regen, and away he goes. So, as you were saying, looking good for CDEC Classic at the moment, but still some alright farm on CDEC Youth. And Gyrocopter are going to take the opportunity while the Darkseer is away, ganking mid lane to get some damage down on this tier 1 tower here.
Yeah, one big difference I think in the draft from last game is that last game, even though Aggressive's Ember Spirit was impactful early on, it would be like when the early fight started, he'd go off somewhere, like isolate one hero and kill them. Whereas Slaughter won't work that way. If he gets an early blink, he's going to be in the early fights, but not isolating one hero, like controlling all of them, getting off those like big crushes and really being a nuisance all around. So I think it's a different dynamic, and at the same time, CDEC Youth are a little bit weaker in those fights, even though it looks like they will want to group up with what they have in terms of the actual fighting without that bad. And yeah, they got more initiation power with the Beastmaster, but less sustained power.
Yeah, it looks like Darkseer. Okay, so he's been struggling a little bit. He's got a Soaring. He's got level 5. Hasn't really got nearly as much out of the offlane as I think he was probably hoping, and is a little bit short on mana here to get off one more shell. He's already taken quite a bit of damage on this tier 1, and they don't have the glyph available anymore, so this is looking good. Looks like the Oracle has actually dealt with the early Darkseer pickup very nicely, and I wonder if CDEC might be regretting getting rid of the Undying instead, though I think the motivation of getting rid of the Undying was that they were worried about the same kind of 5-man lineup that happened in the previous game.
Oh, he has Aggressive's rotation.
Yeah, come running in. They've got really good chain stun. They've got the double Ion Shell damage as well, and one more auto attack from Garter finishes up that kill. Just unfortunately, AIM going down for the rune, and it's going to be ganked. This is the aggressive special, right? Where it gets level 6 and just goes and ganks the opposing safe lane. But this time around, it works out.
Yeah, it's incredible how like it's become a thing. Like the entire DOTA2 world knows that this is what CDC does, it's what Aggressive does. But people still get caught. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Like then as soon as you see the enemy safe lane has got a certain level, just like never feel safe in your lane. Like whenever they're off the map, it's difficult. It's very difficult to play around. It's one of the strengths of it actually, that the rotation happens so quickly. TP's in and just like that, he's on you.
Yeah, and even better, CDEC can also kind of abuse your expectations in that way. You know, you see Aggressive on his hero pick up a level 7 and he's off the map, and you immediately assume, oh, he's gonna come gank our safe lane. We gotta prepare. We have to lock down our jungle and be ready. And CDEC could just take the opportunity to just have Aggressive hitting jungle creeps and the supports in the lane, and so you're proactively adjusting your own playstyle, but they're abusing what expectations you have of them. Of course, with the Slaughter this game, it's much less likely that he's going to be heading directly over into the jungle, so the gank does seem a little bit more obvious, but it's not obvious enough to be stopped for CDEC Youth.
Yeah, and speaking of the jungle, that's actually, I mean, he's just spent some time in the jungle exactly for the reason you're describing, because they have to assume he's ganking when he's off the map. They just have to. So amping some creeps, farming through them, and just like demanding the respect from the side of CDEC Youth to play defensively.
He's going to get some really good burst down here onto XZ. He's not going to get a single spell off that's caught between the tier 1 and the tier 2. And down he goes. So that was a nice little smoke rotation out of CDEC Youth to find that kill. Seemed a little bit, CDEC seemed a little bit split up, honestly. The Slaughter and the Spirit Breaker were quite a ways away. I don't know if XZ had the best read in that situation, but just going to be the one kill. And the charge is now heading over towards the opposite side of the map.
He's got to spot it soon. He's got to spot it soon.
Yeah, they've got the Hawk. They've got a Hawk scouting it. So he backs himself up. I actually got 2 Hawks. This is really good placement from Inflame right now. Just working towards the Necro 1. Nothing too shocking build-wise from him. Has caught up a little bit in terms of net worth as well compared to Shiki, so that's looking good.
So one of the differences between last game and this game is that God is Spirit Break instead of being 0-3 or 0-4, whatever he was, he's 2 for 0. He's got his own a bit quicker, he's got his levels a bit quicker, and it does make a big difference. I wouldn't be that surprised if instead of going for the Blade Mill, we built into the Shadow Blade if we carry on this trajectory, because that's usually the I'm doing well build that he goes for. And it's really actually big. If Spirit Break has a good start, gets that level 6 early on, all of a sudden there's a support hero that's threatening solo or sort of like 1.5 euro pickoffs, where all you really need is the Iron Shell plus the charge and the Nether Strike.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that they've got the Ice Blast to potentially help out as well. Q is just soaking experience the entire time. Top lane that Aggressive was applying pressure bottom, so we've got quite a fast level 6 on this AA, which may catch CDEC Youth a little bit off guard.
Dire's top tower is
this is
under
going
attack.
to be... It looks like XZ and God are looking to fight somewhere at the bot lane. I wonder if it'll be a TP rotation or they just wait for an Ice Blast before they actually do anything here.
They've seen both of them. This Hawk along with the creeps is actually scouted Garter and XZ making their way down. And I see an Inflamer actually smoked right now. What are they going to do here? We haven't seen the Roar put to use just yet, so I think that's really what Inflame is hoping to get some value out of here, but they're going to come running over. Smoke's going to get revealed. Shiki off to the side, but
Dire's
looks like
bottom
it's not
tower
going to be a
is under
successful
attack.
gank. CDEC are bringing
Radiant's
everybody
top
to bear
tower
on
is
bottom
under
lane, and
attack.
looks like they're just going to try and exploit the instant that they picked up this Slaughter Blink Dagger, the communication already coming down the line saying, okay, I'm 1 or 2 creeps away, let's all get in position for bottom and try and set something up. Was this scouted by the Hawk? That's the question. It looks like maybe not. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think they're going to be suspicious anyway, because there's just not a lot of people on the map. And they saw their own smoke get broken earlier on, and I guess they know the team. So whether or not they saw it, it looks like they're behaving quite conservatively, except at this mid lane where that's going to be surely a pick-off.
Flame just going to run up. Gets crushed down. It's going to be the end of him. CDEC, how are they going to transition? That's the question. CDEC Youth are going to see the fact that they were a bunch of heroes in mid lane. They're going to turn the Ring of Aquila on, flat cannon the wave, and just look to apply as much pressure as they possibly can here. But CDEC are actually looking for more kills. They get the 2-man crush. Ice Blast a little bit off the mark. Looks like Icy's still going to be bursted. June does manage to get off the Wrath of Nature and the Sprout, but they chop through with the Tangos and will be able to keep on running. Gyrocopter looking to fight here, but both of these heroes are somewhat tanky. Oracle has joined the fray and does have the False Promise available, so they can't really turn around and try and burst anybody, and they will be able to bring down the Spirit Breakers. The top lane just ends up being a 1-for-1. I think it could have been a double kill if the Ice Blast had been just a little bit more on the mark, but
bottom tower is under
it was
attack.
extremely close.
Yeah, even so, Shiki was still left untouched during that time in the mid lane. Got a little chip damage on the tower. Got some farm. He's heading straight into his Agnum Scepter, and I do feel like this game's going quite a lot better for CDEC Classic than the previous game was to start. Well, Aggressive actually wants to go in on this Nature's Prophet, pulling back actually after the initial stomp. Just trying to stall the progress that CDEC Youth make on this push.
Inflame's also going to be coming up to join them. They need to be cautious of the Roar right now. Shiki's got a TP and a haste rune ready to join top lane, and there's also a TP available from the Darkseer, so help is not too far away for CDEC right now, but it looks like they're just going to be playing this pretty safe. Aggressive needs to be careful, getting scattered up by the Hawk. He's been seen, I'm pretty sure. Yep, they spotted him out. They're running at him now. Is he going to be able to get the blink away? It blinks up, but it's still into vision, and now they've got the Sprout and the call down coming in. He's just going to be bursted. CDEC, are they going to try and turn this? Ice Blast looks like it's going to connect on just the Nature's Prophet. But CDEC Classic are going to have to let that one go. Meanwhile, Darkseer is going to be able to pick up this tier 1 tower bottom, so it's not without a trade, though unfortunately he does end up missing the last hit.
And these Hawks have been such value so far this game. It's like probably MVP for CDEC Youth so far, the work that all the Hawks have done. And you can see the aggressive, like, probably not thinking about the fact there's a Hawk on top of him, based on his movements right there and the way he tried to escape. But, you know, from our perspective, it looks almost comical that he just like blinks from one place where they can see him to another place where they can see him, and not really any safer. But it's different if you're actually that team, and you know, you're not. Beastmaster's not a hero that comes up every game. You're not used to playing against it or thinking about the Hawk vision, and it affects the charge ganks as well, as we've seen.
Look at a Boar Shackle on the mid lane, so Cheeky not gonna catch that one. Meanwhile, Spirit Breaker looks like he might just be going for some treads at the moment, potentially. Garter had a pretty good start, but CDEC.Y started mobilizing his 5 a little bit more and has made the Spirit Breaker pickoffs just that little bit more difficult. Aggressive still keeping up on the levels and still up there in terms of the overall farm as well, but he's still really going to want some more kills sooner rather than later to continue getting value out of this blink.
But between the Hawk Scouts and, I mean, his most recent rotation now, he moved into the enemy jungle and got scouted by Furon's Treant. It's like, it's just so frustrating. He's trying to catch people out, they keep seeing him coming.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
And CDEC Youth are actually making some pretty deep inroads into the Dire jungle at the moment. They've got some wards down, they've got the Roar ready, they've got the Hawk scouting. Hawk is going to be a little bit of a false sense of security here for CDEC Youth, but they're backing up anyway. Charge coming in, they get the Shackle over onto the Oracle, and some big damage over onto Inflame. They burst down Demons. Looks like Inflame will be next to follow, gets the Roar off, but he's already been dropped.
Dire's top tower is under
All
attack.
5 of CDEC swarming in to find those kills.
And I think that's maybe I don't know. It's a good read by CDEC to recognize that rotation through their own jungle is the place to go. But it's also maybe a mistake by CDEC Youth because they've done so well to play with their own vision and control so far that to like expose themselves in the enemy jungle and not expect that they might get punished for it. I don't know. At least they got the wards up, and it'll be interesting to see if CDEC Classic try and like, you know, make an assumption that there was a warding mission there. That's why they're serious with it. In the meantime, Aggressive does actually get the kill on the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, just a solo kill with a little bit of help out from the Iron Shell, it looks like. So, gonna be able to grab that one. XZ, meanwhile, has almost finished up his mech, so he's starting to pick up the pace a little bit after a somewhat slow early game. And these kills have really stalled CDEC Youth from continuing this push. I feel like what they really want to be looking for is some pushes with their Necro 1, finding these remaining outer towers to continue pulling up gold, but they have stalled a little bit from the pickoffs. I think part of that is also the decision to go for the HOTD on the Gyrocopter. He's not quite as combat ready at the moment as he could be, and especially when he's up against all of this burst damage. It feels like him having to hang back is sort of hampering CDEC Youth's overall game plan a little bit, if they wanted to go aggressive right at this moment in time.
So I think that CDEC actually kind of saw the smoke here. Well, they didn't see the smoke itself, but they saw the summoning of the Hawk and moving around to the Hawk and pinged out, okay, there's probably a smoke gank coming in there. So as a result, they all group up near the mid lane, and this is almost a bit of a bait now. Well, they're just going to go straight in.
Yeah, we've got a charge coming in. Demons is in pretty good position over here in the trees. Icy, same kind of story. Gets the cast bounce out, and that's actually going to continue bouncing. That's going to be trouble for Garter. Wrath of Nature also bouncing through. They put down the Death Ward, but the mech comes out from XZ and just going to heal CDEC up. Absolutely no problem. Shame that they couldn't get any additional catch after the really nice cast bounce, but I think Inflame was already running for the hills. So, not going to work out. And that pretty much drags everybody to the mid lane, but CDEC see that fight, and they just extremely efficiently back up. We got somebody heading top to push that out. Aggressive is making his way through the jungle, and CDEC Youth are not going to be able to find a fight that they might have been looking for, in fact.
And I think Aggressive's actually going back for the Hand of Midas, something that we've seen quite a lot of players do after the Blink Dagger on Slaughter. Because it's not a hero that naturally flash farms or keeps up with the farm in the mid game. So you've got your necessary components of, well, he's actually diving into that mid lane. Got the Oracle to save.
The Shackle didn't land, but they do have the counter initiation here under Aggressive. Is it going to be enough damage on Inflame? He does go down. Calldown's coming in though. Shiki's down some trouble. Does get the Shackle over onto the Kobold Foreman, and that's actually going to open up the space that he needs to back up a little bit more. Still getting right clicked down by the Necro units, getting healed up by the Purifying Flames. But that is going to end up being a double kill for AIM. They got the Beastmaster, but really good counter initiation from CDEC Youth. Pretty much had everybody there and ready to fight.
Yeah, I think even though the Oracle's ulti didn't like ultimately save the Beastmaster, it delayed enough to let them set up the position for Dire Cup to get a very big cooldown and then turn things around. And this is like, I think, a worrying sign for CDEC Classic, because this is the kind of situation where the previous game's dynamics started turning around. Because in the previous game we also saw CDEC with the early kill lead and controlling, but oh, they're going straight back in.
3-man crush, Ice Blast coming in as well, gonna bounce him back. Death Ward doing good work, however, Guard is being focused. Aggressive, also taking pretty big damage off the sprint, he's also gonna go down. They lose the Gyrocopter, but they get 2 kills and they get the tier 2. CDEC Youth, these team fights are looking very, very strong for them. Witch Doctor's going to end that fight with a ton of gold, 2,300. Might even see like an Aether Lens coming out for him. It is going to be an Aether Lens for the Oracle, but no, he's just going to grab himself a 4-staff.
And that's Necro 3 for Beastmaster as well, which I think is probably the biggest item timing for the entire game, for at least the foreseeable future, for like the next 15 minutes or so. I think that we can't underestimate how much power the Necro 3 gives to the Beastmaster, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if CDEC Youth group up and go for the last tier 2s sometime very soon.
Yeah, and for CDEC, map control starting to run a little bit thin. Roshan is actually potentially a very important aspect of their lineup that we haven't really touched on right now. If the game was more even, if they still had some more map control, you know, I think Roshan is fairly straightforward for them with the amplified damage, but looking like this game, it's actually going to be very tough. The Beastmaster is also a fantastic pick from that perspective, that the Hawk is an extremely reliable way for them to constantly scout Rosh, and that means that CDEC Classic shouldn't really ever be able to find the sneaky Roshan to kind of get back into this game.
The thing that I think is troubling CDEC is that they have their 2 main cores are Slaughter and Windranger, which are both actually heroes that struggle to keep up with farm. Like, Windranger, sure, she's got Power Shot, but the reason some Windrangers go Maelstrom is actually because, like, yeah, the Agamemnon is going to be finished now, but Windranger needs to actually be involved in kills, making pickoffs, to keep up with farm with other heroes. Slaughter, same story, actually, and although he was close to Midas recently, got a couple of deaths and has been delayed now substantially, and both of these heroes, if the game's passive and farmy, are going to stay behind, which is, it's almost like the ultimate irony where CDEC Youth are actually pretty happy to be pushing, but in the time between the pushes, they're also getting more value of the map right now because the heroes just farm the map more efficiently.
Yeah, they're much safer as well. The Beastmaster is continuing to scout things out with the Hawk, he's scouting things a little bit with the Boar, Nature's Prophet even sending off the occasional Treant just to scope things out. And once he's got this Aghanim Scepter up, which isn't going to be too long, the Wrath of Nature is also going to be applying constant pressure to the lanes. And I think that makes it even harder for CDEC to try and play the kind of style of game that they like to, because the lanes being constantly pushed in makes it that much more obvious when they're actually trying to go and make some kind of a play. Centaur Conqueror is going to get the stomp off onto the Windranger here, and they've got the Roar follow-up with the Death Ward call down coming in. That was some great scouting and some great team play. And that's going to open the way to just maybe head straight into Rosh. They haven't quite decided exactly what they're going to do just yet. But no, it looks like Roshan is the call.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, maybe if Darkseid had a blink. Darkseid is actually very close to a blink, if he wants it. I don't know if he's, yeah, he would have gone Greaves already. If he had his blink already,
they're going to fight this. Ice Blast coming in, it's going to catch on 2 to get the crush, but it's only the Ice Blast onto June, and he gets immediately hit by the False Promise. Gyrocopter tanking up some damage, Vacuum Wall goes down, but they don't get a single illusion out of it, and now the cask is bouncing perfectly between Aggressive and XZ. They're both trapped in place. Rocket Barrage goes to work, they both die. That's all 3 cores dead. Slaughter buys back into the game. CDEC throwing everything that they have into this, but looks like CDEC Youth just going to back themselves up and grab some heals, in fact.
They needed the Slaughter, the Darkseid blink. That's what I feel like. If Slaughter and Darkseid and AA could all combine, get the wall in the vacuum with the Stomp, with the Ice Blast, that's a fight that they can win, but his blink's going to be delayed again now by a couple hundred gold, and Slaughter's Midas, or whatever it is he ends up buying, is also going to be delayed with the buyback. The good news is they do actually manage to chase CDEC Youth away from the Rush Pits, and I think that's important. I think at this stage in the game, the Aegis might be that last ingredient that CDEC Youth needs to just like force their way down a lane and take a bunch of objectives, so keeping it out of their hands, very significant.
Yeah, I think especially for the gyrocopter. June looks like he's going to be going down here. Power shot just clips him at the edge, getting bashed up a little bit. Ice blast looks like it's going to be the finishing touch. They do get a little bit of a turnaround here, though. The roar coming in, the cast bouncing once again. Aggressive and Garter feeling very reminiscent of what happened over by that bottom rune. We do have the drive-by kill from Shiki, picking up the Witch Doctor, so at least making it a 2-for-1. But what else can we get here? Q gonna come running into the gyro. Got the move speed from the Yasha. Does not force staff himself up onto the high ground. Will be able to skirt the edge of the call down, however. It's clipped by the second shot. Shiki coming in, looks for the shackle, but really nice Manta style to dodge it. And that means AIM is gonna be able to keep on running. Sets his sights on Garter, who is running away. Has another charge in a few seconds. The boar coming in for the body block is actually going to keep him in position. And that's going to set up one more kill here. It was the final seconds of that boar's life, but damn were they valuable ones.
Bottom tower is under attack.
There's a lot of pressure on Shiki here. I mean, I spoke early on about how, you know, we're going to see if this is one of his comfort heroes. I mean, I think he's been fine on the hero so far, but the more the game progresses, the more I feel like he needs to be hitting those key shackles to win his team fights, and it's difficult to see how else they do it. We've seen them try with the just kind of YOLO initiate, slot out charges into you, and we've seen them fail a few times. They start with a shackle, it's a different story. Unfortunately, he's nowhere near Blink Dagger, so it's going to have to be like straight walk at you shackle, but they do manage to repel CDEC Youth from the rush pit yet again, and this dynamic's got to start to be frustrating for CDEC Youth, that even though they keep winning fights, they're not quite able to capitalize the rush.
Yeah, I want to go back to a thought that you raised a little bit earlier as well about that first Roshan fight and Darkseer not having his Blink Dagger, and it feels like a little bit of that to me comes back to how slow his start was. You know, we saw Darkseer like 4 minutes into this game, 5 minutes into this game with something like 3 CS to his name. I don't know if it was just the Oracle's zoning. I guess the other possibility is that the Oracle was actually using Purifying Flames to deny creeps once they got low, which is something that we've seen occasionally, but it just seems like between purging the shells and securing those denies, it really slowed down the Darkseer's overall progression. And I think if he was up against anybody else in that bottom lane, might have actually had the Blink Dagger up at that point, so...
Yeah, I mean, he was a couple hundred gold away. So yeah. Definitely, yeah.
Always the little things that matter the most in Dota. It looks like we're going to have CDEC Youth with one more attempt here over at the pit. We get some damage through Ancient Apparition in the neighborhood. They don't have a Vortex down or anything. Looks like actually no vision whatsoever for the CDEC Classic. Ice Blast is going to come in, but looks like it's going to be too little, too late. Who's taking the Aegis? That was not the best coordinated. But they do manage to blink up and get the Roar over onto XZ. Is he going to be able to get out here? He's still got the Quelling Blade, but would have 2 layers of trees to chop through, so instead he's just going to path his way around. They do get the Purge from the little Satyr coming out. There's another one available, and they're just going to nuke down XZ. Satyr, Banisher coming in a little bit handy.
Was really well done actually by CDEC Youth, who this time when they went into rush, they actually summoned the Necros as well as the boar and committed them like outside of the pits just to like chase away the Darkseer. Almost make it look as if they're just like, you know, looking for wards maybe or something like that. All the while they were in the rush pits, and I think that's what made the difference this time, that CDEC just like didn't suspect they were there because they saw these Necro creeps running up the lane.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, CDEC Youth can put the boar and the Necro creeps on one lane. They can have the Nature's Prophet split push the other with the Treants, and then everybody can just go and group up wherever they're needed. So now we've got the Aegis in hand for the Gyrocopter. They got the Manta style on him as well, and this is looking like it could actually just be a 2-0 for CDEC Youth.
Yeah, certainly setting a very similar feel to the previous game. I mean, with a slightly different approach to it, but it's some kind of like semi-pseudo death ball-y thing that they've done in both games, where their strategy really comes together once they have all the pieces to sustain a push and threaten to fight if you want to fight them.
Shackle does land over on the Gyrocopter. They have to keep in mind that there is that false promise available. They do manage to deal with the Hawk, but that means no Crush to follow up this vacuum wall. Not the best coordination from CDEC, and now there's big trouble for Darkseer. Does get forced out back a little bit further by Q. Still getting nuked down. Is he going to end up dropping aggressive and jumping back in for one more Crush? But they've got the false promise out, and looks like Gyrocopter is going to be healed right back up. They've even got the Witch Doctor heal. And the Urn going to work. Yeah, he's right back to full. And meanwhile, the Treants and the Necrobook almost managed to bring down the tier 3 tower. I think they can just reset their cooldowns, wait out the wall, and then probably right back to pushing for them.
Yeah, Jara didn't even burn the edges, so all in all, a definite victory for CDEC Youth. I mean, they split up a little bit on the map now, so maybe this is like some kind of minor risk, especially with the Blink Dagger coming up for Shiki's Wind Ranger, but they're not going to give them that much time. CDEC Youth will probably like open themselves up for, yeah, look, already TPing out. Maybe Witch Doctor gets caught in as well, not forcing away. They're going to be fine.
Once again, it's the scouting. This little treant found both the Darkseer and the Slardar on their way over, so they dodged the gank. And there was another pretty significant misstep by CDEC in that previous fight, is that the Slardar opted to like blink in and crush the Hawk in the tree line as the Darkseer went in for his combo, and that's an extremely rare misstep, it feels like to me, from CDEC. You know, the one thing that everybody talked about with this team is that their teamfight coordination always looks perfect. You know, they've got the appearance that it's just one person controlling all 5 heroes, but that was a very rare but a very big problem in that last fight.
Well, DotA has finished the BKB. I think that's actually pretty substantial. I think with the Iron Shell on him, I mean, you're not going to want to roll the Spirit Breaker, right? You're usually roaring someone else in the initiation, and then Spirit Breaker with BKB on. Yeah, sure, he's susceptible to physical damage, but he can get into your backlines quite safely and try and like control the Witch Doctor, stop his ulti, or control the Oracle, stop the Oracle from saving people's lives. That's the hope anyway. But I mean, I still think it goes back to shackle shots. I think that it's just like, it's difficult, like, this is not really on Shiki, it's difficult being a Wind Ranger in this kind of game, because Wind Ranger really, once you get Ags and Blink, you want to be able to make pickoffs on the map, and the enemy team is just constantly grouping up. What it means, though, is if they're grouping up, you just have to hit those shackles. Otherwise, you're not having the impact the heroes need to have at this stage in the game.
Yeah, one thing that we didn't even talk about this game is the fact that the Oracle is able to just continuously purge the amp damage off of his teammates, and that's really bolstering the survivability here. Calldown's going to come in. I think they're just zoning back to the tower. We have the Gyrocopter pressing forward. Shackle, not going to land. Aggressive just gets the crush off, but it's very defensively, as Gyrocopter is going to continue solo sieging up onto this high ground. They just profit with the Desolator, wants to apply the debuff if he can, but CDEC Youth being so disciplined about this push. Nobody's getting even close. They're dispelling everything immediately. Gyrocopter is going to get shackled up here, but they're going to be able to protect him. Inflame comes running in. They're going to roar up over onto the Slardar. It's going to be a defensive force to have to get him a little bit further away, but CDEC Youth with no real commitment whatsoever. Looks like they are going to be able to back out.
Yep, they get a Rax, and the Aegis is reclaimed, but I mean, they're making it look so easy. It's like systematic getting there, and Beastmaster picks up the Vlads. Every time you look, there's like another part of the Death Ball being assembled, and yeah, I don't know what CDEC Classic anyway do to turn this dynamic around.
It seems as though the only opportunity might be trying to like smoke the Slardar and the Darkseer around from the flank. So you show maybe the Ancient Apparition and the Wind Ranger up on the high ground. You know, you spam out some power shots, you spam out some ice vortexes, and then you just hope that you can somehow swoop in from the side and find that big vacuum crush initiation. It really seems like it's the only way at this point, because CDEC Youth can just continue to starve them out. They can spam Wrath of Nature on cooldown, keep the lanes pushed in constantly with the Treants. At this point, they don't really care at all about feeding away the net worth, and just scout every single gank that CDEC are originally going to go for.
I really like the itemizing of the Gyrocopter this game, going for Manta as opposed to the standard S and Y, recognizing the role that he's playing, and skipping BKB completely because he's with his team all the time and they can do the role of the BKB for him. And Butterfly's actually going to do more work here.
Oh no, this cask. Here, is he going to get hit again? No, they do manage to get the blink away. He's still having to run. It's slowed up by the Atos though. Now they're coming in with the call down. Shackle is going to latch nicely. They get the Ice Blast over into the Gyrocopter, but he just presses forward. That's 2 down. CDEC Youth looking for more. Going to start running over towards the mid lane. There is a glyph available. But what can they actually do? I was talking about them taking a team fight before they got up onto the high ground, but CDEC have just punched their way through right now.
This is close to game. There's like one last play for Docs here.
They're gonna come jumping in. What can he find? Drops the vac, drops the wall, but there's no follow-up from the Slardar. No crush. They can just wait this one out.
Yeah, they might even just go back and wait for the next rush. There's no pressure on them at all. I don't know. Aggressive is just so far behind. In the previous game he had a good start. This game he had a good start. The previous game he stayed up on farm. This game he hasn't, and it's because he's a slaughter, not an Ember Spirit. Like, it made sense that he would go for the Midas off the blink, but unfortunately he like was delayed in finishing his Midas a few times. I think 2 or 3 deaths. And now that means that his next item, whatever it is, BKB, it's been super delayed. He's been behind on farm, and Wind Ranger, like I said again, also it's not a hero that, unless you like build that Maelstrom, keeps up with the farm. It just doesn't. So these are heroes that want to keep up by making kills. They haven't been able to make kills because the enemy team has just been grouped up, and if you can't win a 5v5, then how do you go for pickoffs when the enemy team is constantly grouped up?
Oh man, this is a huge smoke for CDEC Classic, but the Courier got scouted by the Hawk, and now CDEC Youth know what's going on, so they might even be able to lay a trap here. Garter's gonna come charging over onto Inflame. Can they burst him down? No, they've got the False Promise. Aggressive jumps in. They get the crush, the vacuum. They're gonna try and burst down demons if they can. They do manage to do so. Garter also being focused. Death Ward channeled from a decent position by Icy, as Aggressive just retreats on the sidelines a little bit further up. Shiki is just fighting some Gyrocopter illusions at the moment. And looks like CDEC Classic have had enough. They lose that team fight 3-2, and they are going to end up calling the GG. So a big upset. It is going to end up being a 2-0 in CDEC Youth's favor here.
And CDEC Youth, who upset eHome yesterday, now upset CDEC Classic, and we can talk all we want about like the importance of the tournament. Nobody's like not trying to win, and we can talk about how eHome or CDEC maybe aren't fully adjusted. I mean, at some point we just got to give credit to CDEC Youth, who are playing very well, are drafting very well, know what they want to do, and they're